In this video, we are going to learn about join statement in SQL. You see, until now, we have been running queries on a single table. In our DVD rental database, we have somewhere around 14 to 15 tables. And every time we run a query, we pick one table and perform queries there. But what if you want to perform queries on multiple tables at the same time? In that situation, SQL has a functionality that is called join. Using join clause keyword or whatever they call it, you can combine rows from two or more columns and then you can get the results. One thing to note here is that when you combine multiple tables, a key column is important. Now, what is a key column? A key column is a column that exists in both the tables. Let's say you're trying to combine two tables. You're trying to combine results from two different tables. So you have told the SQL editor that you need these many columns from table A, you need these many columns from table B, and these are your conditions. But the way the SQL is going to map between both the tables is using that key column which actually exists in your both the tables. It will be more, you'll have more clarity when we move to the PG admin and I show you with the example. So first let us look at the syntax. The way syntax works is you first select columns, then you write from table 1, join type, then you mention the table 2, on table 1 name, then the column name is equal to table dot, then column name. Now join type is something I'm gonna come back on this in a moment. Here remember the column name that we have written after table 1 and table 2, it is exactly the same columns but they exist in two different tables, and that is what we are actually mapping. Now when it comes to the join type in SQL, we have 3 to 4 different type of join: inner join, left join, right join, and full join. Now what does inner join do? It actually picks the values or the rows or the data that is common both in table 1 and in table 2. So if you are someone who have studied if not elementary mathematics, maybe in 9th, 10th, or maybe 12th standard, we have Venn diagrams. So this Venn diagrams should be very easy for you to understand that we're taking table A and we're taking table B, we're putting up both the tables on top of each other, and the center section that you see, which is called intersection, is the data that is common to both table A and table B. Now to practice this, let us go to our PG admin and look at the tables that we have in the DVD rental. In this database, we have 15 tables starting with actor, address, category, city, country. So let us go ahead and explore the customer table, which has about 10 columns. And here we have customer ID, store ID, first name and last name, yada yada. We can also look at the other table that we have been using recently in our videos, that is the payment column, and here we have payment ID, customer ID, and staff ID. One thing to note here, that in the customer table we have customer ID, and also in the payments table we have customer ID, which means this is a column that exists in both the table and we can perform the join statement over here. Also please note that there are good chances that someone who has made these tables did not name the customer ID the same way. So one could be writing just customer here, and in the payment table one could write just customer ID. So although the column names are different, but the values will be the same. So you need to read some metadata or have some documentation around the database. Usually when you work in the production, they'll have somewhere written on what tables contains what from which table. So if you do not find any common columns between two tables, just look at their values. There will be some common columns, and you're not going to find the common columns in all the tables that you may have. You may have to combine more than two tables to get the common columns between two tables, which actually makes join statement very powerful. So let us go ahead and right click on our DVD rental database, click on query tool, and first select our table, that is select star from, let us pick the customer table and run it. So we have all the details: customer ID, store ID, and first name. Now we want to connect this customer table with the payments table. So we are going to write inner join, then what is the table name? The other table name, that is payment. So we'll write payment, and now is the time where we need to tell this SQL the key column. So we are going to write on, then we are going to write the first table name, that is customer dot customer ID, because this is the column that exists in the customer table. So we first write the table name and then we write the column name. Similarly, in the payment table, we also have customer ID. So we are saying select everything from customer table and join it with the payment table. And the key column that the SQL has to map is the customer ID from the customer table and the customer ID from the payments table. Now let us go ahead and run it. So you now see if we have customer ID, store ID, first name, last name, email, address, and then towards at the end we also have payment ID, customer ID, staff ID, and rental ID. So what this is actually giving you an output are the details of the customer who have made the payment. Okay, so these are the customers that exists both in the payment table and also in the customer table. Now here we have a lot of data. So let us, instead of selecting all the columns, let us select the first name, and then let us select the email and run it. You see, this also works. Now you could be selecting columns from both the customer table and the payments table. You just have to write the column name, but it gets interesting when you want to select the column with the same name. For example, if you write customer ID, we want to select customer ID. So here the SQL will get confused because at this instance, both the table, that is customer and the payment, both these tables have customer ID as their column. So what is the solution? So the way it works is you first write the table name, customer dot, and then you mention the column name. Now let's run it. Perfect. Now you get the first name, email, and the customer ID. Now it does not, since this is an inner join, right? Since this is an inner join, it does not matter, and both the tables have the same name. It does not matter if you write customer table or you use the payments table. The result is going to the same. Similarly, it also does not matter the sequence of the table you're selecting. For instance, here you are selecting first customer and then you're selecting payments table. As we move and learn about left and right join, you're going to see that the sequence in which you select the table does matter. But since this is an inner join between two tables, or it could also be between three tables, and we are only picking the value that exists in the selected tables, that is common to both the selected tables, the sequence of the table that you're selecting, that does not matter. In the same way, just the way the sequence does not matter here, when we are selecting the key column, even there the sequence does not matter. Either the customer ID could be on the right hand side, or the payment customer ID could be also on the left hand side, on the right hand side. So the LHS, RHS does not matter. Now, if you understand inner join, and if you have not, you can watch this video once again. I know my pace was very fast, but if you understand inner join, understanding other join will be very simple. So go ahead and write this code in your notepad first. That's how you learn, right? Or in your notebook. Then go ahead and practice in the PG admin, and I'll see you in the next video.